Chapter 53 Avtarnika Epitome. I bow down Sri Ganesh, I bow down Sri Saraswati, I bow down the Guru, I bow down the family Dinti, I bow down Sri Sita Ramchandra, I bow down Sri Sadguru Sainath. Sri Sai is truly Brahma incarnate, the greatest among the saints, the Lord Paramount, whose fame has reached every corner of the earth and is the granter of intelligence and inspiration. I surrender to him with wholehearted devotion. I do obeisance at his holy feet. He removes the fear of his mundane existence and breaks the cycle of birth and death. In the previous chapter, it had been promised to give a review and then a table of contents or index before concluding the book. Though Pant Hemad said so, it did not happen that way. The table of contents was not drawn up or was overlooked. He who starts the book should himself complete it by giving the table of contents in the end. This is the usual procedure, but there are exceptions to a rule, and this can be seen here itself. Nothing happens as one wishes, only Baba's wishes are overriding. Hemad died unexpectedly, everyone was sorrowful. The table of contents were not to be traced, and everyone was confused. Anna Sahib's records were difficult to find. His son, Sri Gajanan, made efforts to look and gave me whatever was needed. Anna Sahib was thrifty and did not waste even a scrap of paper. He worked with grace and tidiness, as was his nature. He wrote a chapter on bits of paper and gave them, as is, to the printer. Unnecessary expenses hurt him. He would not be composed compared to anyone else. He felt pity for those lifeless, helpless scraps of paper. How would they be uplifted unless they served the lion amongst the saints, that is Sri Sai Baba? Hemad must have felt this way and therefore collected these scraps of paper so that they could also serve. That must have been the exalted intention. The last chapter must have been done in the same way and must have been written on scraps of paper. A lot of thought was given to the problem, yet the index could not be found amongst the bits of paper. The matter was told to Gajanan Rao and others. It was also told to Balasaheb Tarkar, the treasurer of the Shirdi Sansthan. All of them were of the opinion that the index should be there. Balasaheb fixed a time limit and published this also in Sri Sai Leela. The time lapsed, yet the index did not come forth. Hemad Govind was a man of virtues, who knew the Vedant by heart, which was at his command. His book exhibited the Guru's grace like prasad. Incredible was the Guru's grace. Innumerable were the devotees of Satguru Sai, from amongst whom Hemad Pant was a gem of poet. Only someone who was as knowledgeable as he was could be capable of writing it. The index did not come forth from anywhere. I felt very dejected. I prayed to Datta Guru, Sri Sai Baba, and pleaded for his mercy. I am dull-witted and insignificant, without studious contemplation or even a trace of knowledge. Being totally devoid of poetic tendencies, how could I compose verses? But there was one support that I had. When Sri Datta Guru is favorable, even the Meru mountain can be lifted as easily as mosquito. His powers are great. Again, I prayed to Umarama Shiva, to that Sai Narayan would become merciful and give me the inspiration to write the index immediately. I do not have the capacity to compose poetry. Sri Guru Raya is aware of my limitations. Placing my head at his feet, I shall begin writing the index. This part of the book, whiz, the index, will be composed by Sai Vakratunda Ganpati. His grandeur is unparalleled and immense. My mouth is only his instrument. In the first chapter is the invocation to the remover of difficulties and the cause of the universe, to the ornament round the neck of Uma and Shiva, obeisance to Sri Ganesha. Obeisance to all the wonderful goddess of speech, to the wonderful goddess of speech, full of wisdom, Sri Sharda, who entices the world and is the granter of whatever is desired. Obeisance to the Lord Sai, the family Dinti, the relations, the Guru, written, the saints and virtuous people who are incarnation of God, and surrendered to the Satguru, who is the abode of salvation. by narrating the story of the grinding of the wheat and how the cholera epidemic was removed was explained and the powers and greatness of Sai were described. In the second chapter, the purpose of writing the book is given, also the naming of Hemadapant, the end of the debate of the necessity of a guru, and the first darshan of Hemad. In the third chapter, it has been fully explained how the permission was given for writing the book by Sai's own words and the story about Rohila. Next, the reason for the appearance of saints and sages were who are ornaments of the ruler of the world on the earth has been explained in detail. And the first arrival of Sai, avatar of Datta, son of Atri, the wish-fulfilling tree in Shirdi village, all that is described in the fourth. The disappearance from Shirdi village and the reappearance in the company of the well-to-do Patil, which surprised all. The gathering of Gangagir and other saints, the carrying of water in pots on his own head from afar to create a garden is all fully mentioned in the fifth. In the sixth chapter, the big festival of Ram Navami where Bala Bua was the Kirtankar and the devotion and the renovation of the masjid is narrated in detail. Next is about yogic practices of Samadhi, Khanda Yoga, Dhupti Poti, etc. Whether Baba was a Hindu or a Muslim, the unfathomable inner self of a saint. Baba's dress, behavior, giving of medicines, smoking of chillum, caste, dhuni, lamps, his illness and service to him, incomprehensible was the sight of all this. The seventh, by the learned poet, excellently narrates matters about Bhagoji Shinde's leprosy, the medicine for the plague affecting Khaparde's son, and Nana's Pandharpur Darshan idea. The unique greatness of human birth, the description of the mode in which Sai asked for alms, the service of Baijabai to the saints, and the offering of food to Baba with her own hands. How Baba, Tatya, and Mahalsapati, all three of them, slept in the masjid at night, and Baba's excessive love for both of them, which was identical, and the mutual love of Baba, who was the repository of peace and knowledge, and Kushal Chand of Rahata, which is all delightfully narrated in the 8th chapter. How great Tatya Sahib Nolkar and Tatya Patil, who were great devotees, as well as the English gentleman, repented for not following the instructions. How Baba made an offering to the fire, 5 elements, before savoring the food which had been given as alms. How Baba was qualified to seek alms is cleverly explained. And the excellent story of how the famous Bala Sahib Tarkar, the staunch Pratna Samajist, became a devotee of Sai, who heartily are all given in the 9th chapter. Yogeshwar Baba's bed of plank, 4 arms, 4 hands long, and a span in width, hung from the rafters. A touching account of when Baba first arrived in Shirdi, how many years he lived there, and when he left the mortal coil. Though calm and desireless within, outwardly demonstrating a demonic nature, and Guru Raya's unfailing inclination to lead the people together on a particular path. The Satguru's tremendous skill in teaching the Ved Shastras and the essence of religion, spirituality, and the code of behavior, and testing the intellects of the devotees as well as the non-devotees. Baba's usual seat, Baba's knowledge, Baba's meditation, and Baba's dwelling. His power and his greatness are fully described in the 10th chapter. Baba's fame everywhere as being the embodiment of Sachidananda, Dr. Pandit's loving devotion, and the narration of the behavior of Siddiqui Falki. His control over the clouds, his incredible power over fire, and his protection from strong winds are interestingly described in the 11th. Kaka Mahajani, Dhumal, Nimonkar, a Mamledar, and a doctor, different incidents about each of them were narrated sweetly. And the unique Sai Darshan of the Agnihotri from Nasik, the doubting Mule, a disciple of Saint Gholapram, in the 12th chapter. Bala Shimpi's malaria was cured by giving curds to a black dog, and Bapu Sahib's Bhuti's cholera was eradicated by feeding him walnuts and pistachios. The Swami from Alandi who had pain in the ear was cured only with the blessings, and the diarrhea of that Kaka Mahajani suffered from was removed by peanuts. The devotee Dattapant from Harda, who suffered from severe stomachache, was freed from his trouble by blessings in front of everybody. And one Bhimaji Patil had severe cough and tuberculosis. He was cured by an application of Vadi. All this is narrated in the 13th. Seth Rustamji, a Parsi from Nanded, a famous businessman who was dejected, was granted a son, placing him in the seventh heaven. How the saint Mauli Sahib of Nanded, who worked as a coolie and remained incognito, became known thanks to an indication from Sai is the amazing story in the 14th. The Kirtan practice of Narada was told by Baba to Das Kanu, and Cholkar was requited for his woe by giving him tea full of sugar. A lizard from Aurangabad came and met one in the mosque, and the story of their trappings is narrated in the 15th. A gentleman, well endowed with wealth and children, came to Shirdi, having learnt of Sai's fame, to acquire knowledge of Brahma. One who desires Brahma should be detached from the worldly life, and the greed for wealth should be discarded as a first step. But if he could not give a loan of 5 rupees to Baba for a short while, even though he had a big roll of money in his clothes, how could he attain the Brahma? The method by which Sai taught the lesson was beautiful, and Hemad's words are like prasad, a mixture of milk and sugar. This enticing story is in the 16th. The continuation of the earlier story, a detailed discussion of the knowledge of Brahma, total destruction of the greed for money, is the interesting narration in the 17th. Sathi's story about the Guru Charitra, the story about Radhabai's Upadesh, and the favor bestowed on Hemad are skillfully narrated in the 18th. The detailed narration about this favor and the in-depth thoughts of Hemad according to the lesson taught by Sri Sai are given in the 19th. Das Kanus comments the Ishvasya Bharvata Bodhini. In that respect, he had some doubts, which he asked Baba. Baba said that the maid servant of Kaka Dikshit would resolve it. The Sadguru's greatness is extraordinary. An interesting narration of it is in the 20th. A virtuous district officer, another learned man Patnakar, and the third a brilliant lawyer. All three were granted favors as mentioned in the 21st. Masjid Mai helps to cross the ocean of existence. It is none other than Dwarka Mai. Baba said this to all the people, but no one understood its deepest meaning. The virtues of Masjid Mai was praised. Mirkar and Bhuti were saved from snake bites. Amir Shakar's rheumatism was cured, and he was saved from danger of the snake. Hemad was saved from the danger of a bite from the scorpion, and others from a snake and untimely death. All these incidents are published in the 22nd. How the doubts of student of yoga were removed, how Madhav Rao was cured of snake bite, dhuni, and firewood, and the killing of a goat are very interestingly described. The respect and glamour of Bade Baba, the lack of obedience to the Guru's orders, his greed for more in respect of what was given to him, and his dissatisfied nature. Kaka Sahib, the best among the devotees who had supreme and unwavering faith in the Guru's orders, and how the Sadguru spotted with him, is beautifully narrated in the 23rd. Making grains of grams the excuse, Hemad Pant was given lesson that without remembering the Sadguru, nothing should be enjoyed, eaten. Sai caused a quarrel between Anna Babre and Maushi Bai, and that uncommon incident of wit and humor has been sung by the inestimable poet in the 24th. A devotee, Damu Anna Kasar, a resident of Ahmednagar, was desirous of doing a big business of cotton and rice. There would definitely be a loss in the business. By eating mangoes, sons will be born, said Sai, the son of knowledge. All this is described in the 25th. A devotee named Pant who was a disciple of another saint, was immediately given an indication which made Pant overjoyed. The son of devotee Harish Chandra Pitle, who was suffering from epilepsy, was completely cured by only a merciful glance. Pitle was given 3 rupees and was told that he had been given 2 rupees earlier. Baba told him to worship them. It is a charming narration in the 26th. Kaka Mahajani placed the Bhagavad Pothi in Lord's hand with the hope of getting it back as prasad, but the Lord gave it to Madhav Shama. The Pothi of Vishnu Sahasranam was in the collection of Ramdasi. Baba took it from there without his knowledge and gave that also to Madhav Rao. The story how Sai, the cloud of mercy, granted a boon to Shamrao Madhav Rao by giving him the Vishnu Sahasranam Pothi is narrated in the 27th. Lakshmi Chand Maushi Chidhabai of Buhanpur and the most virtuous Brahmin Megha came to Baba's feet. By giving them all a dream vision, gave them experience in the waking state. Incredible are the feats of the Sadguru Mauli. All this is lovingly narrated in the 28th. A group of bhajan singers from Madras gathered at Shirdi to witness the spectacle of generosity and giving of charity by Baba, the glueless Shankar. The way in which the examination of Raghunath Tendulkar's son and his pension problems were resolved are the pleasant leelas of Baba, and how Dr. Captain Hete, who was very loving devotee of Sai's feet, was given an early morning dream vision is a graceful story in the 29th. A story named Kakaji's A person named Kakaji Vaidyas, a devotee of Saptashringi Devi, was given a dream vision by the Devi to have the darshan of Sai, the foremost among the saints. Shamra had taken a vow to the same Devi, so to fulfill that vow, Shama went to Vani after 30 years, and how Sai spoke, "Come to me in the dreams of both Seth Kushal Chand of Rahata and the Punjabi Brahmin." Ramlal is narrated in the 30th. Vijay Anand, a Madrasi sannyasi, set out for Mansarovar. Baba Sri Harikesh personified held him back at his own feet. And the upliftment of the distinguished devotee Mankar, who hovered over Sai's feet like a bee over honey and afflicted cruel tigers, beautifully narrated in the 31st. The story about four virtuous people wandering in the woods in search of God, and the darshan given by the Guru Raya to one Baba as he had shed his ego. The unusual episode of the fasting by Lady Gokhale Bai, and another similar story told by Sai himself, was sung by Hemad in the 32nd. A friend of Narayan Jani was suddenly stung by a scorpion, while the daughter of another devotee was suffering from high fever. How the difficult labor of Chandorka's daughter frightened her, and how unhappy and worried everyone was. A staunch devotee, Kulkarni Sahib, the bhajan singer Bala Bua, really understood the efficacious power of the Udi, and the enchanting story of the Dakshina of Haribhau Kanik, a devotee full of faith and religious feelings which teaches a lesson, are all in the 33rd. The great distress of Maligao doctor on account of the bone abscess of his nephew, the difficult illness of the staunch devotee Dr. Pillai from genuine worms, the torment of Babaji or Shirdi Shama's brother on account of bubonic plague of his wife, and the epilepsy of the young girl of Irani, which greatly troubled her. The gentleman from Harda, who was in great pain due to stones in his bladder, and the difficult labor of a lady from Bombay of Kashyap Prabhu caste. The complete removal of the above mentioned maladies or troubles by the mere application of Udi without loss of time are interestingly described in the 34th. A friend of Mahajani was who totally believed in the formless, became a devotee of form after only one darshan. The greatest of the gurus turned grapes with seeds into seedless ones immediately and gave them to Dharmasi Jethabhai Thakur, a solicitor from Bombay. A Kashyap gentleman from Bandra who could not sleep at ease, and Bala Patil of Nevasa, who both had experienced the Udi, which are given in the 35th. Two gentlemen from Goa had separately taken different vows. One for getting a job and another for finding a thief. Both had forgotten their vows, but Sai Samartha made them remember. Who can describe the fame of him who had the knowledge of the past, present, and future and was omnipresent? The wife of Shankaram of Aurangabadkar rushed to Sai's fate for the boon of a son. How her wish was fulfilled by giving a coconut in is the story told with a purpose in the 36th. Hema describes the Chavi celebration and festivals after seeing them himself in an interesting narration in the 37th. After putting different ingredients, a variety of items were cooked in the handi cooking pot and distributed as prasad lunch to all. A pleasing narration of it is in the 38th. The elucidation of the verse from the Gita, Tavidhi Paripatina, is told to Chandorkar to remove his false pride about his knowledge of Sanskrit, and the king among saints gave a dream vision to Bapu Sahib Bhuti, instructing him Raghunath's son, that is Govindrao Dabholkar, gives in detail the meaning of Tavidhi Pranipatina, giving arguments in support and justification in the 50th. How Dikshit Hari Sitaram, the devotee Balram Dhurandhar, and an advocate named Pundalik of Nanded arrived initially at Shirdi. Each one's story is marvelous. Hearing them, the listeners will be amazed and their devotional feelings were aroused. And this is narrated in the 51st. After reviewing the book, Hemad asked for a boon that the wickedness of evil minded be destroyed and that the virtues are protected. Surrendering at the Sadguru's feet and offering him his head and his pen, the book is completed and his objective is achieved in the 52nd. Govind Rao completed the series of chapters of Sri Sai Samartha Satcharitra is in this manner. I lovingly bow to his feet and also to the Guru, who is the mother of the whole universe. Giving thee some summary of each chapter is itself called Avartanika. It is right or virtuous path for those desirous of attaining liberation. It may be scornfully neglected, considering it to be a ragged border for a beautiful mantle or robe, but this humble one appeals to the clever listeners to hear it once. Just as a black mark is put on the forehead of a plump, lovely child to ward off the ill effects, Bala Deo has applied the black mask in the form of this Avartanika to this robe. The beautiful book is like a well-flavored meal, and the chapters are like the different items. Buttermilk is necessary for digesting such a meal. If heartily partaken, this Avartanika is written for that purpose. The book is the ever-fruitful wish-filling cow, and each of the chapters are fully and pure. The Avartanika is the necklace of black beads and put around the neck to ward the evil of malignant eye. So be it. I will explain to the best of my ability the method that Pant Hemad uses for the complaints and the chapters. Compliments in the chapters. Listeners should hear it with respect. At the outset, there is praise for the Sadguru, and then there is narration of the Vedant, description of Sai as Brahma incarnate, followed by narration of experiences. To begin with, Hemad was well versed in Shastras and literature, and with the propitiation of Sadhguru Sai, he was overnight turned into a genius so that he could create this book like a well flavored meal. He who experiences sweetness and goodness will find that the cycle of birth and death are ended and the legacy of the liberation will certainly be received. How can the grandeur of the book be described when it has greatness? When it has Hemad's lucid language and the scarment of Sai, truly it is the mixture of milk and sugar cane juice. There may be many authors, but they do not have the authority of scarmental language for which a real Sadguru is needed. For who is the support of the universe and the consort of Brahma? Even if the Shastras studied, such a book cannot be written without the Guru's grace. This is absolutely true. Who can describe Sri Sai Satcharitra? How incomparably worthy is the book for which an author like Hemadapant was found. It is the supreme good fortune for seekers of liberation. As long as the book exists in this earth, its fame will spread amongst the people. Govind Rao has given timely abundance of wealth for the seekers of liberation. Twice blessed is the surpassing book, which is the outcome of Sai Sadguru's favor. It will be honored by the seekers of liberation. It will overcome their poverty of thought. Because of the store of good deeds done in innumerable past lives, Govind Rao got this opportunity to do this service for Sai, which bore sweet fruit in the authorship of this book. Hemadapant was a staunch devotee, poet, and fond of the knowledge or to be gained from the Vedant. He was devotedly attracted to Sai's faith day and night. Subject of Vedant is very deep. Without the combination of detachment, devotion, and knowledge, and the grace of the Guru, it is impossible to write such a book. These are not chapters with the sockets of gold in which priceless gems of the stories have been studied and from which sparkles of knowledge and meaning have been drawn by Govind Rao with an immense effort. The different chapters are the fragrant garlands of flowers offered to the neck of Sri Sai Sadguru by Govind, the loving child to the best of his ability and with pure devotion. The various chapters are pure pots of gold which are filled with Sri Sai's Satcharitra, like the waters of the Gangas, by the son of Raghunath to drive away the pride of the seekers of liberation. In the canopy of the battlefield of various books, the son of Raghunath has raised victory pillars of the chapters for destroying the demons of evil feelings, deceit, and false pride with the sword of his intellect. The book is a 5-wick lamp studded with gems to wave round the king among saints. The chapters narrate the stories which are wicks of oil, the light of which brings attachment and peace. The book is Maya, which entices the world. The chapters are arms raised high, and the meaning of the stories are bracelets worn on the upper arm, decorating the body ready to embrace Sai, Brahma incarnate. The Sai Satcharitra is the universal sovereign amongst books. The chapter are pleasing, clever, minstrel narrating faith, knowledge, the Vedantic beauty, and its vast glory. Sai Satcharitra is a marketplace for spirituality, and each chapter therein is an emporium. The stories, the experiences are the objects fully socketed there, arranged neatly by the greatest among the poets. The book is formidable as the span of Gangas, the chapters, the compact hearts of just proposition. The flows of stories are sweet as nectar and vast by the Guru's grace and formidable greatness. It is not just a book, but a wish-fulfilling tree which the people engrossed in mundane existence find barren, but for the seekers of liberation it gives only the actual experience of liberation. This alone can be called a real memorial which destroys darkness of tribulations of the mundane existence and saves from the hell of greed and illusion. It is certainly a giver of peace. The author Govind Rao, by being a bee at the lotus feet of Sai Sadguru, always savours newly drawn sweet honey. His surname was Dabolkar, and he was engaged in serving the British government. He was learnt, full of humility, well behaved, and well qualified. Rukmini Bai was his wife, virtuous, devoted, and full of good qualities, dedicated to her husband, and always submissive. She had confirmed faith in Sai. Dapoli near Vengurla was the original place of the domicile of the poet. Later on, Telva was a village for the family forefather. In Sheikh 1781-1859 AD, on the 5th day of the dark fortnight of Margashri month, the blessed and victorious Govind was born to Lakshmi, the wife of Raghunath. He belonged to the goddess Saraswat Brahmins caste and to the Bharadwaj Gotra. He died at the age of 70 in Sheikh 1851 on the 9th day of the dark fortnight of Ashad month. In Sheikh 1844-1922 AD, in the month of Chaitra, he commenced writing this book and completed up to 52 chapters by Sheikh 1851-1929 AD. In the month of Jeshta, Govind Rao had only one son and 5 daughters, of which 4 were married. The son was also married and was studying medicine, and the unmarried daughter was also doing the same. Now I shall mention the procedure of recitation of the book, as well as the easy method of doing a reading within 7 days as laid down in the Guru Charitra or other such books. Listeners are requested to pay attention. Do the recitation with a pure heart and devotion, completing it in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. Sai Narayan will be gratified. Otherwise, complete it easily in a week and you will have immense good fortune on continuing basis. Sai will fulfill the heart's desire, and the fear of the worldly existence will be destroyed. Begin the recitation on a Thursday in the early morning after a bath. Sit on your asan seat for prayer after quickly completing your usual routine. Make a pleasing large canopy with banana plants, kardali, and beautiful cloth covering over it, and let it be well decorated. In it, let there be a raised platform for the book, and decorate all the four sides of it with colorful rangoli, which are pleasing for the eyes. Making an image of Sai Sadguru or taking a beautiful picture of him, place it carefully on the high platform. Make obeisance to him with love. Tying the book in a silken cloth, place it near the Sadguru after worshipping both with Pancha Upchar. Commence the reading. Observe the holy vows for 8 days, having only milk of fruits or roasted grain or of any one kind, eating only once or having only one meal. Facing the east and keeping the image of the Sadguru in the heart, do the recitation of the book with a calm mind and with joy. During the 7 days, read the first 8 chapters on the first day, then the next 8 on the second day, followed by the next 7 on the third day, then 8, 6, 8, and 7 chapters on the following 4 days, and only Avartanika on the 8th day. On the 8th day, at the end of the observance of vows and of the offering of Nevedya to Sai Narayana, feed friends, relatives, and Brahmins with delicacies and give dakshina to them to the best of one's ability. Inviting the Vedic Brahmins, have them chant the Vedas at night, offer them sugar-flavored milk, and give them a respectful send-off after they are well satisfied in body and mind. Finally, after doing obeisance to the Sadguru's feet, offer him appropriate dakshina and send that to the treasury of the Shirdi Sansthan to augment the funds of the Sansthan. Lord Sai will be gratified thereby, and he will be bless the devotee. The snake in the form of the worldly existence will be destroyed, and the treasure of liberation will be revealed to him. Listeners, may you feel at home with the saint. You may forget the Vartanika, but keep an eye on the meaning of the book. This is the earnest request of this humble one at your feet. Virtuous listeners, be very merciful to this humble one till the end of time. I place my head at your feet. Baba's Bala prays thus to you. Whatever is very deficient, attribute it to me. Take the essence, you listeners, and act in such a way that the mind is resplendent. Obeisance to Sai, the son of Shiva, that is Ganesh. Obeisance to Sai, seated on the lotus, that is Brahmadev. Obeisance to Sai, the killer of demon Madhu, that is Vishnu. Obeisance to Sai, the five-faced Lord Shiva. Obeisance to Sai, the son of Patri, that is Datta. Obeisance to Sai, the killer of demon Baka, that is Indra. Obeisance to Sai, the lover of the night, that is the moon. Obeisance to Sai, the lord of fire. Obeisance to Sai, the control of Rukmani. Obeisance to Sai, the sun of the mind. Obeisance to Sai, the ocean of knowledge. Obeisance to Sri Sai, Naneshwar. The Avartanika is the verbal Pushpanjali, offering of flowers. Similar is the obeisance of glorious names which I have prayed, offering them at the feet of the Guru. Mother Sai be gratified. This is the end of the 53rd chapter of Sri Sai Samartha Satcharitra, written by Baba's slave Bal, implied by saints and virtuous people, called the Avartanika epitome. This is offered to Sri Sadguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness.